or A24, however you want to say it. I don't know. Everyone has like their own way. How do you say it?
I say A24.
Yeah, it just sounds cool that way.
I don't want to say A24. I like the pot
Right.
A24.
Yeah.
That's
A to 4. I want to
A to
get
the
there,
4 to the 2 to the A.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
wait a
I want
minute.
to get there. I don't want to just like immediately be like A24. Like it's A24. It's like May 24 weekend, right? Hello and welcome to the movie podcast review of Talk to Me. My name is Shahbaz, and someone that we won't be talking to today is Daniel. So I have Anthony here with me. Anthony, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Daniel, he shook the hand and he just
Uh,
disappeared, man.
it was weird because in the movie they don't disappear, but for some reason when he touched the hand, he went into like a portal.
But yeah, he literally died. He just instantly dead. They were like, we're not going to
Instantly
bother
dead.
dealing with him. Just kill him now.
He was dead to me, not talk to me. That's what he was.
Yeah. I'm doing good, man.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I just want to talk about this film because I'm super excited to talk about it. And I think the world needs to know, talk to me. They need to know about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't already tell, we're super excited to talk about this film. I feel like we're going to be saying "talk" a lot, and it's not our fault. The movie's name is "Talk to Me" as well. "Talk to Me," of course, is directed by Danny Philippou and Michael Philippou, who are two twins, and they're from Australia, and they had a really big YouTube channel. I remember when I mentioned this movie to my brother, he was like, "Oh, Raka Raka," and I'm like, "Slow down. What did you say to me?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're the YouTubers," and I'm like, I wasn't
Yeah,
aware of that time
me
period.
too. I'm
It
like,
wasn't my scene.
but I'm happy for them because
Me too.
they gained a huge audience, and hopefully this audience goes and sees this movie.
They gained some new fans, and we also had the pleasure of speaking with them as well, which will be dropping very soon on the channel as well. Of course, we are the Movie Podcast. You can follow us at the Movie Podcast anywhere there is social media. I don't even know if we can say Twitter anymore because for some people it's X, and for some people it's Twitter still. So whatever social media app you have, chances are we're on there, unless it's a new one that just came out today. Then we're probably going to be on there pretty soon. So who knows? Just stay tuned. The world's social media world is in a mess right now, but I'm sure very soon it'll be all course corrected. One place that isn't changing right now is our Discord, and you can go ahead and join that. A lot of people are joining it. We're having some great conversations. If you do go watch this movie, please let us know. Write into us. Let us know what you think about it. Leave the comments on Spotify. You can reply to the episodes too, which is super great. We've been getting some really, really cool feedback on there as well. And of course, this is Talk to Me. It'll be released here in Canada by VVS on July 28th. And of course, this is a A24 movie as well, or A24, however you want to say it. I don't know. Everyone has like their own way. How do you say it?
I say A24.
Yeah, it just sounds cool that way.
I don't want to say A24. I like the pot
Right.
A24.
Yeah.
That's
A to 4. I want to get
the
there,
4
you know?
to the 2 to the A.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
wait a minute.
I want to get there. I don't want to just like immediately be like A24. Like it's A24. It's like May 24 weekend, right?
100%. Like that's how I look at it.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, Talk to Me does star Sophie Wilde, Alexandra Jensen, Joe Bird, and Otis Dhanji, and of course Miranda Otto, who we know and love from Lord of the Rings, especially. I mean, as soon as I saw her, I'm like, oh my god, Lord of the Rings! So that was really cool. That was really cool to see. Anthony, do you want to tell us your first reaction to Talk to Me?
I don't even know how to start this because I'm lost for words. But this movie, I think it was around this time of last year. I think it was March actually. We got into X and then Pearl, and A24 was just developing really good horror last year. Again, this year they killed it with Talk to Me. Talk to Me is the best horror film of the year, and I just recently watched The Evil Dead Rises, which I thought was great, but it doesn't compare to Talk to Me in terms of horror, in terms of the story, in terms of how real it is, how terrifying it is. I didn't know what to expect. I thought the trailer was really well done. So going into it, I didn't know how deep this movie was going to hit me. I didn't expect the gut punch, the wrenching depression feeling that you normally, like, in a horror film you sometimes get, but like just felt so. I just felt sadness after watching it. I felt um, also excited because it was something new and fresh that we haven't experienced in the theater before. But man, what a good movie. From the visual effects, from the practicality of this movie to the story, to the performances, and the overall, like, the performances from the whole cast, I would say, not just Sophie Wilde, which is she is predominantly the main focus of this movie, but everyone involved in it. And I like Australia is doing a fantastic job. Sorry, Australia and New Zealand. I'm not too sure exactly where the Philippou brothers are from, but they have such great talent because the whole cast, I'm guessing the whole production team, everyone involved created this movie, and I can't say enough about it. It is absolutely terrifying. I want everyone who's listening to this to go watch it and experience it. And you probably might have seen it on TikTok. Go watch it, go feel it, go experience this movie because it is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of points that you said that I definitely want to touch on. First, the Philippou brothers, Danny and Michael, they're from Adelaide, Australia, South Australia. So, yeah, definitely Australian. They are also so much fun. They are so cool. They're really like full of energy and not at all the people that I would have expected to direct a movie like this. I think the last time I really walked out of a film and felt this way was when I saw Hereditary by Ari Aster, because it was something I had never seen before. It was a horror movie that challenged me psychologically and really kind of just put me in a place of thinking, horror movies can do this. Like, they can really not just be about jump scares, they can really mess you up internally. And that's the kind of horror that I personally love and enjoy. And I know, Anthony, you love those kind of horror movies as well that really psychologically challenge you. Talk to Me is full of that. And I think one of the best things about this movie that you kind of mentioned is you don't know where it's going to go. You don't know how it's going to end. And speaking of the ending, I won't talk about what actually happened at the end of the film, but it was such a gut punch, as you mentioned. The people that we watched in the theater were like, "Oh, it was huge." What a reaction people had at the end of this movie, because it did what it set out to do. And when you finally see what happens to this movie, it also makes sense. It isn't like a twist ending where you're like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of weird." It's like, no, that totally, you set that up from the beginning, and it's all I've been thinking about. It's one of those theater experiences that I'm going to remember for a very, very long time. The performances, like you mentioned, absolutely astounding. Sophie Wilde, we're going to be seeing her a lot from now on. I'm very sure of it. Her phone's going to be ringing off the hook. And we already know that the Philippou brothers, Raka Raka, they already have their next feature film, which is going to be Street Fighter. And we had a great chance to talk to them about that as well in our interview. But man, this is a movie that, from its opening sequence, it immediately kind of puts you in a place where you're like, I think either I'm going to like this or this is not going to be for me, because it's violent, it's gory, but it's everything feels earned. The gore it's essential to the story that it's telling. It's meant to shock you in a way where it feels real. It's not like, and I haven't seen Evil Dead Rises, Anthony, but I feel like when the gore in that is really meant to shock you for the sake of shock factor, whereas this, it
Yes.
feels like it's really shocking you to push the narrative forward, because everything kind of has a purpose. Every, cut, bruise, etc., is telling a story. And that's what this movie does. It's a visual masterpiece in some ways, where I was just shocked as to, I've never seen a movie like this. I've never seen a movie that really had me scared. And at some points I just couldn't look at the screen. I was like, I don't, especially the really gory stuff. I was like, I can't, because it felt so real.
The possessions are very real. Like if you look at the
Very tough.
Evil Dead possession, there is almost like a plainness to the character when they're possessed in that form. But in this movie, when these characters are possessed, it just feels like it feels real. It feels like Linda Blair possessed. It feels like for instance, Joe Bird, who plays Riley, his possession scared the shit out of me. Like I there's a lot of sequences with his character and you will be shocked. You will be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they had this kid go through this punishment." I I want to talk about the sound because the sound
Yes.
is so loud and so piercing. It cuts through you.
It's crisp.
It's so crisp. There's scenes where it could be like a simple slap on the face and it feels like it just you feel it. You feel the slap like it's a knife cutting through you. It is so impactful. The banging of the door, the tension of like the strings in the background. It just feels hauntingly scary. I couldn't believe that sound just really hit me hard. Cinematography on this is fantastic. They have like you might see in the trailer, they have like when they're possessed, the camera tilts and all that. But there's some really good edits in here where they transition from outdoors to indoors. I know Shay, you mentioned it to me like I love that cut. I love that cut. I love that cut. Everything in this movie is so well paced and so well edited that from beginning to end, it just goes. There are slow moments, but I think that's done on purpose to slow down your heart rate because everything that is happening is so intense and you feel like you as a person, as an audience, you just don't know what to do. You're like, I need to leave this theater because it's just crazy. This is wild.
Yeah, we saw this movie super early in the morning, and it set the course for the day for us. And I remember that was one of the first things you mentioned to me when we were walking to the car. You're like, "Man, the sound effects were really intense." And I'm like, "You're right." Like the audio editing crew, the Foley artists, whoever they were, the way even a slap, you're right. That slap, it scared me. It just kept happening, and I literally was like, "Oh man, this slap feels like it's leading to something bigger, and it's something more scary." And then just the sound of a knife, or the sound of just something being unsheathed, it was too crisp. It was almost like a reference sound that they were using, and it really just went right through me. And I I felt so uneasy watching it, but I know a lot of what we're saying almost sounds like a deterrent to the film, but it's what made this movie's experience so much better because it was unlike anything we'd ever seen, and we loved. I honestly, I can't wait to watch it again because I want to
Mhm.
now pick apart certain moments, and especially if I want to watch it at home, maybe I can pause it and not be so scared because this movie is truly terrifying. It has that sense of realism, and the characters are all so believable and they're all so relatable. And I think one of my favorite characters in this movie is Miranda Otto, who plays the mother Sue. She's so unlike any mother I've seen written in a film. She's really the cool mom with that level-headed shoulder still on her, and she engages the audience really well. She has some great funny moments, and the whole time you're just kind of like, I really want to know what happens to the story. And Sophie Wilde as Mia just really drives this narrative forward, and the things that she goes through, it's like you feel bad for her, but at the same time you're like, I get what's happening. And oh man, it was such an experience. And when we got to talk to the Philippou brothers and they told us their inspiration behind the possessions, it made those, like, now when I'm thinking back to those scenes, it makes those scenes even more haunting because they witnessed things like this. And I also believe that that is exactly what would have happened because these actors, they're really like the makeup and everything that kind of happens, like you see their face kind of like darken, like
Yeah.
almost like blood kind of just leaving their body.
It reminded me of The Witcher. You know, when The Witcher drinks his potion and his eyes turn black
Yes.
and then it becomes, and
Yeah.
that could have been an inspiration, but it just works so well that, okay, now the demon is possessing this person and whoever you're talking, like if you are the viral audience that's recording this, you're now in touch with that demon. And it's amazing to see how social media plays a factor in this. We learned a little bit more about how a lot of the story takes place, especially if you watched our interview, which is going to be coming out later. Um, it's a fitting feeling to have that in part of this movie, to be possessed as well as being captured on TikTok. It just makes like
Yeah.
I can see this being a trend with the world, but yeah, thank God there is no real possession
Hand.
or hand.
Yeah, or
And
is
even
I mean,
the
Daniel's not here, right?
Daniel's not here, that's true. But the hand itself is so scary to look at because it almost like it contorts, but it might be like your imagination looking at it and thinking, "Is that hand moving or is it always in the
Yeah.
same position?" And it's
Yeah.
just like the idea of grabbing it and that's how you connect. It's so scary. And there's things written
Yeah,
on
and
it too.
it's so scary. And obviously we didn't really talk about the plot of this film. We don't really do that so much on the reviews anymore, but I think it's a little important to kinda say essentially this film is about it's like the new Ouija board in a way, in the
Yes.
sense
Yeah.
that you have this ceramic kind of hand. All these teens are gathering around, recording themselves, talking to the people in the afterlife, and essentially you grab the hand, you say, "Talk to me," and you get a vision of someone that's passed, and then you say, "I let you in," and then that all of a sudden opens that gateway between you and the world of the beyond. And in this movie, things go a little wrong. Obviously, they in a horror movie they don't really go right. So things go a little wrong. The possession takes a little bit longer than it should, and maybe some demons kind of get through. And it's the way that the story is told. It's the way that the people from the beyond look. Like, they look scary as hell. The makeup and effects are phenomenal. The
Mhm.
practical effects that you spoke about, Anthony, really pushed the movie forward. You can tell when you watch a horror movie and you're seeing CG, because it immediately becomes so obvious. And it when you get that practical effects and you get that makeup kind of going, it really helps with the movie. It really makes that scaring factor a lot higher for me personally as well. Yeah, I mean, if there's anything else you want to say, or should we just jump to our recommendations?
No, let's jump to our recommendations because I
Yes,
want
please
people to
go
go
right ahead.
watch it. This is a real gem. Like, I did not expect to have another real gem. This is probably our third or fourth real gem in a
Yeah.
row. I think Barbie, Oppenheimer, and now Talk to Me. This is a fantastic film. I'm so excited that it's out and that people can enjoy it or not enjoy it, but you should enjoy it because it's so
It's
good.
like an enjoyment of some way.
It's some sort of I think you will appreciate the type of movie it is because it's so rare. And especially with horror, which is so hard to do now, they do it so well. And this movie, just in terms of inspiration, you get like It Follows, you get a little bit of Pearl, you get the Michael Myers vibes, but it's that psychological storyline that really draws you in because there are parts that you relate to, and you if you experience these things, you kind of want to explore those things if there is something that might connect you to those things. I hope that's not too vague, but yeah, like, this is a real gem through and through. Go watch it.
Yeah, no, Anthony, I'm right there with you. This is a real gem. It's a movie that we've been out away from the movie over 24 hours now, and all I'm doing is thinking about it. All I'm doing is talking about it. I've been telling everybody that I bumped into, I'm like, "Hey, I watched this movie yesterday. It's called Talk to Me. You have to go see it. It's a horror movie." And everyone's like, "Oh no." I'm like, "I know it is really scary." They're like, "Oh no." I'm like, "No, no," but it's really damn good. And then as soon as I say it's an A24 film, they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, and I got my attention." And honestly, it is through and through an A24 film. It is fantastic. It is surprising. It is such good horror. It is, and again, this is from someone who 2 years ago, 3 years ago, was not watching horror movies really, and now it's like, when they're really good, they're movies like this. They're movies like this that I'll think about for a while, like Hereditary, and then this, and then Midsummer. I love those kind of horror movies that really just push the envelope forward and really exercise your mind. So yeah, real gem. I don't know if I said it, but yes, it's an absolute real
Yes.
gem. Of course, this is the Movie Podcast. You can follow us on any social media out there in the world. I think we're also coming on Blue Sky soon too, even though I haven't really used Blue Sky yet. I mean,
It's
it's
just too
fine.
many, man. I can't
Too
do it.
much. I don't have time.
I
Yeah.
don't I
I
don't.
yeah, it's just it's a lot. Of course, you can join our Discord though and talk to us about anything on there. Daniel hopefully will come out of the land of the dead
I
soon.
called the
I don't know. I
priest.
mean,
He's on his
you
way.
called the priest?
I called the
He
priest.
is?
He's on his way. He said he'd be here in a
Okay.
couple of days, so by then he
Oh,
should be back.
he's not that urgent, eh, for him.
No, no. He
He's
has
like,
other
"Oh,
important
Daniel,
things.
okay." He's like, I got a massage at 6, and then maybe I'll stop by. Yeah, I'll call the imam and I'll see if he wants to stop by as well. But who knows?
Yeah,
They also get a little
we'll
busy.
have the whole world religion join us, and they
We'll
can
have the
exercise
Avengers of
Daniel.
religions.
Yeah.
Yes, if he's even like gonna come back, he might not. He might like that land. He
I
might
would
want to
prefer
stay there.
Demon Daniel rather than Daniel because I feel like he'd be more fun
Yeah,
and
Demon
controversial.
Daniel. I mean, that sounds like a nickname though for sure. Like, yo, Demon Daniel. Yeah, I think he'd be a lot more fun too. Yeah, I agree. Well, of course, again, we are the Movie Podcast. Make sure to follow us everywhere. Join our Discord. Write in the comments. Let us know what you think about this movie. If you're going to go watch it, if you're too scared to watch it, let us know as well, because we would love to know who the scaredy cats are so that we can come and scare you. No, we don't want to find you at all, I promise. But that was This Time with the Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.